All right, and we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got a lot to talk about in this live stream. So we're talking about a $2 million crypto hack that was taken very easily. Okay, this is something that could have been spotted by a lot of people who are watching this channel. Okay, October has been one of the worst months for crypto hacks ever in history. We're going to dig into that. We'll look a couple of other hacks that have happened in the space in the month of October. It's pretty juicy details here. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at a lot of other updates that have happened in the space. It's our last live stream we did a week ago from today. Again, we're doing these live streams now on this channel once per week on Mondays at this time. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn notifications. You can also follow me on Twitter to find out about those whenever we go live. We're going to answer some of your questions and a whole lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you learn how to become a blockchain master step by step, start to finish, then definitely head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. Let me know if you can hear my microphone okay. We had some audio issues last week, but hopefully we're totally fixed with all those. So we got Cody, Dale, David Stone, Cryptechology, Greek, Latricia, Sirius, Knox, Gollin, hope I'm saying that right, Adamola, Machiavelli, Tyler. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let me know if you can hear my microphone okay in the chat. It's got people from Brooklyn. Let me know where you're watching the stream today. All right, so let's jump into this. Let's talk about, sort of set the stage, because October has become the worst month for crypto hacks, okay, with still a couple of weeks to go. So far, over $718 million has been stolen from DeFi protocols across 11 different hacks this month so far, according to the research firm Chainalysis. We're talking about a couple of those today, okay, that are pretty crazy, pretty crazy. So I'm going to jump into this first one here. Basically, this DeFi protocol Temple DAO was struck with a $2.3 million exploit, okay? And this is something that was actually laughably simple. And a lot of people who watch this channel, who, have done any of the free courses on my YouTube homepage, all right, or have been through the blockchain bootcamp, anything like that, could have probably found this exploit themselves, okay? So we'll talk about that here in a minute. So basically, Temple DAO is a decentralized finance protocol that lets users get yield on their deposits. And basically, it was hit with a $2.3 million exploit. All right. So basically, it was basically something where the attacker was able to drain this amount of money that was sitting in a liquidity pool simply because of lack of proper access control restriction. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Well, basically, let me just show you right here on my screen. So basically, the exploit was connected to insufficient access control around the migrate stake function, which is a function of the protocol's smart contract. So basically, there is a function inside there that is called migrate stake, which I'm not 100% sure everything what that function does on the inside, but part of that is the ability to remove funds from the contract. I'm assuming there's some sort of ability to specify the destination of the staked funds. Okay, I haven't done a deep dive in the code to see this. I'm just mostly reading what the audit report says here. But essentially, this did not have proper access controls. So why is this important, especially if you're watching this channel? Why am I telling you about this? Well, because essentially, when you're creating smart contract functions, and that contract's put out there in the blockchain, anybody can call the functions. And so you want to create these things that essentially check who the calling address is, all right? And you want to restrict who that calling address is in order to, perform certain functions. So let's say you're the owner of a smart contract. If you're a developer, even in the really simple, even like beginner level, projects, you might have an only owner function or modifier that you put on your functions that says, hey, only the owner of the smart contract can take money out of this, right? Or maybe you check who the owner is before you try to transfer tokens, the owner of those tokens with their balance. Okay, that's what access control is, basically restricting who can call those functions versus anybody being able to call the functions. So this is a case where essentially this was a dead simple thing and it just didn't have proper access controls on it. And so literally, if you had spent, I don't know, 10 hours, working towards becoming a blockchain developer, you would have sufficient enough understanding to see this and spot it and, not necessarily do the exploit yourself. I never advocate for people stealing, money on this channel, okay? But so that you could do things like report it to somebody else. When we're talking about bug bounties are one of the biggest potential upsides for blockchain developers in this space because there's lots of money at risk, okay? And you can actually get rewarded for disclosing these things, in an ethical way, because people are going to willing to pay you money so that you don't just take it yourself, okay? And so that is something I've covered a lot on my channel. I've done videos on my YouTube homepage about, how to hack smart contracts. You can look at different patterns of hacks that have happened in the past, okay? And part of it's, getting that skill and getting those skills up to the level to where you can, do that. And one of the biggest complaints I hear all the time is, oh, it's too hard, it's too complicated. Okay. Well, this is a situation where even basic level of coding ability and solidity would have helped you spot this bug. Now, you might be thinking like, well, then why didn't you catch it? Well, honestly, I wish I had caught it, So, full disclosure, one of those things is just, are you looking at projects? Are you looking at things that could have potential vulnerabilities in it? And this is a situation where I wasn't personally doing it. You know what I mean? If I had, it would have been an easy thing to catch. So, that's on me at that point. So, it's one of those things where you kind of don't really have an excuse. Some things are going to be hard. Some things can be complicated. You won't catch them. That's true. But some things also can be laughably simple. And this is a pretty good example of that. So, that being said, I want to kind of go off on a different topic that's related to this, which is, if it's that simple, then how did this go so long undetected? Because that's another thing people are wondering is like, if this was so simple, this was out there for a really long time before it was found. So one of those things is, of course, not everybody's just looking for these things all the time. That's one aspect. The other aspect is, okay, but if it was exploited and it was taken, there's a lot of conversation coming up about, are these exploits inside jobs? You know what I mean? Is somebody who is really familiar with the code, did they go do this? And also, that raises another question, which is the person or people responsible or familiar with the creation of the code, did they know about this when it was put out there, okay, and purposefully not add any access controls to this, or design it in a way where it could be exploited, and then essentially just wait for some time and then go do the exploit yourself? All right, that's a pretty big problem that the crypto space is facing. And even with security auditing firms, there's sort of like this question of like, okay, are the security auditors actually doing good audits? Because if you think about from like kind of a corrupt incentive model, it's like, somebody could pay you a ridiculous amount of money to get really, really, really familiar with their code, okay? That's going to go out there and custody, let's say $1 billion worth of cryptocurrency. And let's just say they paid you like $1 million to audit this thing, okay? I'm talking about like a crazy amount of money. Let's say they paid you $1 million to do this. Well, you went through and you spent a ton of time getting super duper 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 familiar. And so what happens when you actually get to the point where like, oh, this thing can be exploited? You got one or two situations on your hand. You can just say, okay, we're going to sign off on this audit, but I'm not going to tell you about the exploit, and you're going to put it out there, and then I'm going to wait like a month, and then I'm going to exploit myself because I'm probably the only person on the face of the planet that has the sophisticated enough knowledge and the intimate knowledge of this thing in order to perform the exploit. And, you might say, okay, well, then that falls back on you as an auditor who failed to miss this. But it's like, well, but what if you could make like $500 million? You just see what I'm saying? Like, there's sort of these potentially corrupt incentives in play. And that's one of the conversations on the table. Are these exploits intentionally overlooked so that they can be taken advantage of later by people who are supposed to be trusted in order to, get those in the first place? So, some people think that's a little bit too crazy of an idea, but it's definitely one worth considering. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Never attribute malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. That's a comment from the comment section below. That's true. You know, it's one of the things. It's either incompetence or it's malintent, right? And you can easily, confuse the two. All right. So another, speaking of October being one of the biggest months for, crypto hacks, we have another one that's got some pretty juicy details, no pun intended. This is Mango Finance. Okay. So basically, market manipulation led to a $100 million exploit on Solana DeFi app Mango. Now, I'll talk about how this happened, but it's got a crazy unfolding story because essentially what happened is the attacker explored the protocol and they took the money for themselves. They got a governance token, okay, and then they added a governance proposal and voted for it that was basically like, don't do anything bad to the attacker. It's pretty crazy. I know I'm kind of laughing at this. It's in one sense, it's not funny at all because a lot of money was taken here. In another sense, there is something kind of humorous about it. It's sort of like when you see somebody who's doing something so insane, it's like, oh my gosh, like how is this person doing this? Like it's almost like laughing because something is reality that it shouldn't be. I don't mean to any mal intent toward or insensitivity toward anybody who's affected by this. So don't interpret that the wrong way. Anyways, a rogue crypto trader utilized millions of dollars to manipulate the price of Mango's tokens on the DEX, and able to drain over $100 million in liquidity. So this was done with Oracle manipulation. Okay, so oracles can be manipulated. Again, what's an oracle? It's an outside data source that provides information to the blockchain that's not native on there. Okay, and basically they're able to do that, and there's some issues about essentially drama going around with bad debt within the Solana DeFi ecosystem, and they added a governance token they added a governance proposal basically to pay back these debts, and then also really absolve the hacker of any guilt. And then the hacker essentially used the tokens that they got from the exploit to vote on their own proposal. It's pretty crazy, pretty crazy. So definitely go check that out. It's I guess another reason that I don't know, I kind of laugh about it is because it's one of those things that's stranger than fiction, right? Like you couldn't write this into a movie and make it believable. That's one of the reasons that's so crazy. Somebody says, I thought you were done with YouTube after you got liquidated. I guess go check on that live stream. So basically, we're going down to one stream a week rather than 5 days per week, and that's mostly because of the amount of really newsworthy things to talk about on a daily basis. We're condensing them all down to one stream per week. And I did not get liquidated. So that's the whole thing, is if we get into a spot where crypto starts moving at a faster pace, we can go back to 5 streams per week. It's just that it doesn't make a ton of sense right now. Your apologies, yeah. Well, that's how rumors get started. When someone calls a function and exploits a contract, would the RPC provider be able to know the IP address of the address and call it? It depends on who the RPC provider is. But the other thing is you can run your own node. And if you run your own node, there's no way to essentially do that. Coding live streams instead of the news. We've done some coding live streams. That's not going to work 5 days a week. We could potentially do a coding live stream like once a week. But 5 days a week, like nobody's gonna come to that. Could be cool to interview people in the space. Yeah, we've done some interviews. Problem is, it's got to be like people who aren't just shilling like altcoins, and also it's like managing a pipeline of regular interviews is hard. Like we will do interviews sometimes, you know what I mean, when it makes sense, but getting Okay, let's go look at a couple of things that have happened in the space since our stream on Friday, or last Thursday. So one cool thing that's definitely happening is that you can now search for crypto addresses, okay, in Google. All right, so that's actually a pretty interesting development. So I haven't tested this feature out yet. Let's just try it. So I'm gonna go on Etherscan, okay, and I'm just gonna look at a literally just like a random block, and I'm gonna go in here and look at the transactions, and then like look at the to address. I'm gonna copy it. Okay, I'm gonna go into Google here. I don't see it working for me, unfortunately. Have you all tested this out? I've seen this floating around, but I just tested it and haven't been able to actually get the balance. So that is one thing that could happen. We could see Google getting deeper into that. And we are seeing Web 3.0. Like we had Google, support the Ethereum merge. They supported the Ethereum merge countdown. We're starting to see NFTs integrated with Meta products. You can link your crypto wallet to Instagram. There's also the thing that we're kind of keeping an eye on, the Twitter deal that's happened with Elon Musk. Latest news that it is going through. We have some leaked messages from Elon talking about essentially desiring to purchase Twitter to use blockchain in some way to help improve the product. Okay, we've covered that ton on this channel. So, we have more and more things kind of headed in that direction that are already mainstream products. All right, so let's go ahead and look at a couple of updates of what's going on in the crypto, markets themselves. Will have a little bit of overlap with the, macro economy. The name of the game right now is essentially don't fight the Fed. Okay, and what we're really trying to do is try to look at an overall change in trend of some kind before we get too excited about what's happening in the crypto space, because really, for the last year almost, it's been kind of, on this bearish trend, kind of down only. We saw, really signs of the monetary policy changing kind of the beginning of November last year that coincided with the Bitcoin top, okay? And pretty much it's been on a downhill trajectory from there. And we talk about the macro so much on this channel as it relates to crypto because it's such an important factor, because everything is pretty much facing the same headwinds, okay? I don't pretend to be a macroeconomics expert by any stretch of imagination. Doesn't take a genius to see that inflation's a problem, and that, the central bank, who largely controls the monetary environment, is essentially trying to get inflation under control through, fighting demand, okay, raising interest rates. That has a pretty big impact on stocks. That has a pretty big impact on crypto, many financial markets, okay, and a lot of that's got to do with the rapid rate of change in interest rates, and therefore kind of how the economy works. And so, like I said, the stock market's basically been down only for a better part of a year, okay, almost exactly a year, and crypto is no exception. So what's kind of the update on that? Well, last week we saw the CPI report come out. All right, what is this for? It's the Consumer Price Index. Why does that matter? Well, essentially, that's one of the biggest measures that central banks use to see what's going on with inflation. And essentially, CPI was hotter than people's expectations. Okay, so essentially that means that people had a certain number that they were like, hey, inflation's going to be about this, but it was higher. And so every time we have economic data come out like this, it's sort of like Groundhog Day. We're trying to see if the groundhog is going to get scared of its shadow and go back in the hole, or if it's going to stay out and winter's going to be over and we're going to see springtime, aka more favorable monetary conditions to resume progress in the crypto markets and in pretty much all markets, and see some sort of trend reversal. So it doesn't look like that just yet in terms of the monetary policy changing. We saw crypto take a pretty big blip, okay, when the CPI data came out. All right, so you can see that here, but it was followed by a pretty fast recovery. And so a lot of people say, hey, that's a short-term V-shaped recovery. That's a short-term bullish sign. Which it could be right, okay? And the other sort of view on this is that, we could see either a soft, pivot or a hard pivot from the central bank in terms of its monetary policy to become more accommodative, and that you could have a lot of people in the markets that are essentially trying to front run that to get in before that happens, okay, so that they can sort of get the best prices possible. And then when we do see something like a Fed pivot or, more accommodative monetary policy of some kind, that you'll be in before everybody else is. Because, to me, there is something a little bit, I don't want to say foolish. Again, this is not financial advice. I guess the only thing foolish is, bag holding all the way to the bottom, right? But I guess there is something a little, maybe maybe it's a little cocky, thinking that essentially, we're gonna have this nice golden opportunity that's just gonna be handed on a silver platter, where essentially like the Fed's gonna come out on some mountain that's gonna be televised, and they're just gonna clear out trend reversal happening right now, and that's going to be the perfect bottom of the market, okay? And then everybody's just going to have this nice, clearly advertised entry, and then we're just going to explode off to infinity from there. It's like that could happen, okay? But I think everybody's looking for that, and so because everybody's looking for that, it makes it less likely that that's going to be the case, okay? Now, the pivot could be clearly televised, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is that we could be significantly off the bottom when that happens, because you've got people front running the opportunity now. So that's just one perspective on it. If you think I'm totally wrong, let me know why in the comment section below. I don't pretend to exactly know what's going to happen in the future. I just have been in this space for a long time and try to think about it from different angles and try to give you all the conversation that's happening, so that you can make the best decisions for yourself. Single coding project can be broken into many live streams. Yeah, I've done multi-video projects. Unfortunately, we're kind of at the mercy of what works on YouTube. And YouTube, nobody's going to watch video number 2. I promise you. If I've done this multiple times and it's failed miserably. So, if we build a project over multiple days, people are really excited to watch video 1, and then nobody's going to watch video 2. And then really nobody's going to watch video 3. And then, one person will watch video 4 and 5. I wish that wasn't the case. It would make things a lot easier. But that's unfortunately the world we live in. So, could I elaborate a difference on IPFS and storage cryptos like Filecoin? So basically, IPFS is just a distributed file storage system, okay? It works kind of like a blockchain, but not really, okay? Basically, it's a peer-to-peer network of nodes where you can put files on it and you get back a hash that corresponds to the location of those files. So Filecoin is just a blockchain protocol that's built on top of IPFS with token incentives. So basically, IPFS doesn't have any cryptocurrency associated with it, and Filecoin does. Okay. So we got lots of other exciting updates happening in the space for the Ethereum space. So we've got the zk EVM, the zkSync 2.0 going live on mainnet. Okay, that's just in 11 days. That's definitely something to keep your eye out for. So what is this? Essentially, this is a layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum. It's powered by zero knowledge technology. Okay, we've got lots of other layer 2s in the space, like Optimism Arbitrum. Okay, zkSync is one that I've been excited about for quite some time now. Going to go live pretty soon. All right. Let me just pull this up here. Why is it a big deal? Well, basically, the space is pretty aligned on zero knowledge-based scaling solutions kind of being the future of layer 2s. Again, what is layer 2? People complain about Ethereum being too slow, too expensive to use. Well, that's how you fix that problem is you create this second layer on top of it called a layer 2 where you can do transactions and then it piggybacks off the security of Ethereum. And you got things like Arbitrum Optimism, okay, and which are optimistic rollups, and then zkSync, which is zero knowledge-based rollups. So it's a technology that people are more excited about long term. Okay, again, I don't think this is going to be like the full final form of the zk EVM whenever it launches in 11 days, but it's going to be a huge step in the right direction. And one of the biggest things is it supports Solidity smart contracts, so it's EVM compatible, and that's a huge deal because whenever you're creating a blockchain ecosystem, you want to be able to get bootstrapped and get users quickly. Okay. And one of the ways you can do that is if developers don't have to change their code and they can just deploy it to your blockchain. That makes things it's a lot easier to create an ecosystem rather than having to learn new programming languages and new technologies in order to do that. That's what EVM compatibility is all about. And so we can also take a look at what's going on with the Ethereum burn. Okay, so again, we had the Ethereum merge last month. Okay, so basically this is where Ethereum switched to proof of stake and the issuance for ETH dropped significantly. Okay, now I talked a lot ahead of the merge that I didn't think we would see Ethereum become deflationary right after the merge. This would take some time in order to see this on larger time frames, and you can actually track what the supply of ETH has done since then. Now it is inflationary, okay, full disclosure, but it's way less inflationary than it would have been. Okay, so you can see the line here. This is what would have happened since the merge if we had not turned on, basically turned on the fee reduction. All right, and here's what's happened. All right, it's basically flat. All right, compared to what it would have been in terms of the actual, trend. So we're a lot closer to flat territory. We're not quite in deflationary territory. But all this takes, you can see here, we had a sharp downtick, and that's in the middle of a pretty dead bear market where on-chain activity is down significantly. And so if you just had like 1 month of really frothy, or even like 1 week, honestly, like couple days or a week of really frothy on-chain activity, we could completely erase all of the gains, like all the gains in the ETH supply, or all the let's just put it this way, 120 million ETH has been issued since the merge. It would not take that long for 120 million ETH to get burned. I'll put it that way. If we had a really frothy week on chain, as opposed to we would have. Actually, hold on a second. So I said that wrong. Okay. 7,000 ETH. Okay. So that's the reference point. It's 120 million. I said that wrong. All right. So basically, yeah, there you go. Boom. You can see the difference right there. I think I'm getting the numbers slightly wrong, but the whole point is this amount, whatever this legend's not very good. Whatever this amount actually is created since the merge would not take it that long versus the amount of ETH that was created if proof of work had been kept on. Why doesn't the chart with layer 2s have Polygon? So it depends on what you mean. If you're talking about the Matic chain itself, the Matic chain really is a side chain. Okay, it has Polygon Hermes, okay, which is actually a layer 2. But in terms of the Matic side chain, it's really a different blockchain. It doesn't piggyback off of Ethereum security. So we don't really consider it a layer 2 in that regard. All right, great questions. So that's all I got for today, everybody. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps videos out so that more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fascinated with the technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find those free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you went to the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I actually have mastered blockchain step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You have to be an expert to get started today. I thought people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time,